So tell us the truth, Lisa. This is your 50th movie, perhaps, because it is, for me, it is a classic, right? It is a masterpiece, and it was just amazing. I really, really enjoyed. I want you guys to know that in Paris, in France, when that movie came out, it was like a change almost in the culture. You know, everybody was saying, "Oh, I'm more that girl. I'm more that girl. I'm more that girl." It's also very interesting that you know, it's very hard to translate a lot of the Sephardic Jewish slang that is used. That is very funny to translate it in English. So anyway, Lisa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
with
you.
us.
I haven't seen it for 10 years.
Wow.
I never saw it again, so it's very moving for me.
Well, it's very moving for all of us because that movie, you know, it's part of this beautiful Sephardic Jewish culture. But what you're doing, we're going to talk about it, is also to bring this culture for everyone. I was also very emotional to see our dear friend Valérie Benaïm.
It's Valérie Benaïm. Yeah, it's the one who's leaving her husband at the end of the movie. Her name is Valérie. And unfortunately, she died 4 years ago. She was, I know, she was my best friend and probably one of the best French actresses ever. And that's why I didn't look the movie, I didn't watch the movie anymore. It's because I didn't want to see her. And plus, in that movie, I also have my aunt who's having a waxing, you know, she's saying it looks like a turkey. And she died also this year. So I have those two women, but you know, it's funny because I forgot that I dedicated this movie to my grandmother who was dead at that time, and an aunt also, and it's like all those women are not dead for me because they're eternally in that movie, their culture, you know. For Pesach there is a cloth for the bread, it's called Ramona, and that was the cloth of my grandmother. So it's like, I saw, that's very sad that they all died, but in another way, having done that movie, it's like they're really eternal to me and maybe to a lot of people. So it's been a big joy also for me to see them alive again. It's I didn't know that what movies are for too, but I guess that's one of the functions of the movies.
In your movies, I can tell you that they made all these wonderful characters eternal.
Yeah.
So really.
Yeah, because it's very funny in France. People tell me that they look at this movie, they watch that movie almost 3 or 4 times a year because it gives them. Yeah, I wish because there's so many things that are not possible to be translated, but that was a good.
And you have a wonderful eye for picking up talent because it's good to watch this movie after. Is that almost every single actor that you can see on the screen, they were already, you know, popular, but they became now superstar in France, like Géraldine Nakache.
Yeah.
And that movie really lifted. I also recognize Jérôme Cohen. Is that Jérôme Cohen?
Jonathan Cohen. That was his first part, and now he's the one who's selling the wedding movie at the end. He's one of our biggest star now. That was his first apparition on camera. So it's funny.
And there was also David Elmaleh, the father of Gad Elmaleh, who is playing the father. So that was really, really beautiful. So one of the first things that we realized once, like myself, I had the honor and the pleasure to know all of your movies and to watch them a countless amount of time, is that you do movies for everyone. You have this quality that, and today over lunch you shared to me a beautiful phrase, I do movies that I want to watch.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful phrase. And on your movie, almost each phrase is an iconic almost phrase that you're like, oh, you know, when she said, I didn't know. It's terrible to be happy, right? Forgive me.
It's funny because it wasn't that great. She says that's the problem with happiness is that before you're happy, you don't know that you're missing it, and that's, you know, it's funny because in a way I've been those 4 women, and I forgot I was those 4 women because now I'm somewhere else, and it's funny also for me to remember that was all the stages of my life also. It's funny.
Yeah, I didn't dare to ask you, was it a little bit autobiographical?
Well, everything is very autobiographical in my movies, and especially in this one. But I'm the four of them.
Oh.
I've been through the four of plus. And when I'll be a grandmother, I think I'll be the same kind of grandmother too.
It's beautiful. One thing that is really interesting, because you're very well accomplished, of course, wonderful screenwriter, wonderful director, also producer. Do you think that it's what makes you so unique to not just direct a script that you're given, but you're also creating the whole thing, the same way that perhaps a singer will sing a song that he wrote himself, so he would be more attached to it? Do you think there is a connection with that?
Yeah, when I think of my job, I think, let's say that I'm writing a story, and it's like you're having a cup full of water, and you have to run with this cup full of water for 3 years, you know, and you have to take care that the water stays in the cup. That's my job, you know. But it's 3 years and you're running, so if you're not the one taking care of it each step, there will be no water at the end of the trip, you know. So that's why I'm doing everything. I mean, I wish I didn't have to do everything. But I started not doing, I was just writing scripts. And at the end, the movie was not at all what I had in my head. So the only possibility for me to really keep the water in the cup is to do everything myself. Unless, Steven Spielberg wants to do my movies, but...
Oh, I'm sure he's jealous of your talent, I guarantee you that. So, one thing that really shows, I believe we all saw that, the really skills of Liza, how do you want to say in English?
Whatever.
Liza, yeah, Liza. Is the opening scene, you know, when you have these four ladies talking, and you can see how in a couple of words we can right away understand the character of each actress, each character, and we understand them just over a couple of few words, and we get so much information just in one scene. Made me think, with all due respect to Woody Allen, that in his movies, at the opening, you know, it's traveling like this, and you have someone coming saying a phrase, oh, that's the angry wife, oh, that's the jealous one. Is it, am I right when I...
That's the job of a screenwriter, is to define as close as possible the characters, but you know, that's why actors are for. I mean, normally, when you choose an actor, then the job is done. Me, I always say I'm not directing anybody, you know, my job stops when I cast. Because after, then the person is exactly what I wanted or exactly what I had in mind.
When you direct, are you more, do you lead improvisation?
Yes.
Do you really stick to the script?
I always say I'm writing scripts for banks,
Ah.
for money, you know, because they don't understand anything, usually. And but the actors, what I like is that that's their part, so they can do whatever they want with it. Sometimes I say no, it's a little bit far from the character, but usually they know better than me who is the character because they're doing it. They are the character, so they're having great ideas and they're having great propositions for the costumes, for the dialogues, for everything. So it's for me, I'm only doing casting, you know. Then
there's a lot of freedom. That's what
yes,
we can see. A lot of improvisation.
I love my actors and my crew, and I'm very, very specific on my script, and then I can go to sleep, you know.
Yeah.
It runs by itself.
Wow, what he created, really beautiful work.
I thought it would be less good, because that was my first movie, and I was like, oh my god, I was such a bad director. I felt, but it's of course I would do some things different, but I remember all the scenes, you know, the worst scenes are the dinners, because everybody has to talk, and it's very, very complicated, even with two cameras, you know, to get the ambience of a dinner where everybody...
with two cameras, even
yeah,
with
the dinners. Wow. Not all scenes, but some scenes I had to have two cameras, because otherwise it's too complicated. And the dinners are, I think not the Pesach, it's the Kippur dinner.
Yeah.
Is
Long table.
yeah.
Because the lighting, I don't know how you.
And
light
my
it.
aunt, she did the real, you know, she went with the chicken and everything, and she was showing all the crew how to do all the food for Kippur, and we brought everything from France, and it was incredible.
Wow, wish I was there. This is also something you were talking about, you know, the direction and everything. It's also something that I realized really on that movie, and I'm so glad that I was able to see it on the big screen, is how sometimes perhaps in the editing more than on the directing is you film a lot of the reactions. You know, like, by example, you say the line and you filming a lot of the person who is listening to the line, filming the passive.
Yeah.
You know, and the passive is almost as funny as the guy who is saying.
Well, usually the fun comes from what you call the passive one.
Yeah.
Because if you do a joke, what's funny is the other person saying, you know, that's when you get the laughs. I didn't know this for my first movie that I directed with my ex-husband, and I understood that it's what the jokes makes on someone else's face that's funny, not the joke itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I was happy to see the old cell phones that we had in France.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna. So you did that movie, Comme, belle. Can you tell me what inspired you to do that movie? So we spoke with our beloved.
Yeah. Well, no,
Sarah.
because I already said that. I mean, it's really that was my tribute to the Jewish Sephardic women community. Really, I wanted, because they're the silent ones, especially at that time. You know, now everybody's talking, everybody's about women and blah blah blah. But you know, 13 years ago, Shabbat dinner, the women were not talking that much in my family.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Jewish men, they look so bad. Like,
I know,
this is
sorry.
the worst representation of us.
oh,
I guarantee.
I'm not so far.
With the football, you know,
the football
nobody,
game,
you know.
yeah. They're like waiting for, you know, everything to be said.
And then after you did that phenomenal movie, LOL, LOL, you know, give it up for that movie. It's a phenomenal film, and you work with, I think, one of the most iconic French actresses, Sophie Marceau.
Yes.
Sophie Marceau. How was it to bring that movie together?
She's a great actress, and she's a very big star. So I liked it, and also I did the remake. Here with Demi Moore and Miley Cyrus. So that was funny to do the remake.
How was it to work to bring like French, a movie that already exists in French, and to bring it to do a US version? Do you start from the beginning? Do you?
It's it's a little bit like Groundhog Day. You do the same thing all over again. But then I was thinking every day. I was thinking at the theater actors. You know, they do everything the same play, and every day is different. So you get a different energy from each day, and that was the biggest lesson, you know.
Wow. Absolutely. Then after you did another movie, called Chance Encounter, still with Sophie Marceau, and Dalida. Anybody saw Dalida here? Exactly. Exactly. One of the best music. It could be called a musical film. Almost,
yeah, before Bohemian Rhapsody, it was one of the best, but since Bohemian Rhapsody, I must admit...
What inspired you to do Dalida? So yes, she's a strong woman. She has also a Sephardic
that was the first time I was not doing something about my life. That was somebody else's life. But then I noticed that her life, in a lot of ways, looked like my life. I mean, all lives are the same. That's what I learned also with that movie. And also she was Egyptian, she had that touch that could be Sephardic. She was not Jewish, but you know, Morocco or Egypt, it's very close, so it's the same kind of culture, and I really understood her from the inside, so it was very nice.
And the music is very present first in Dalida, of course, but in all your movies, like the soundtrack And sure, you guys love the music, the disco music, all these things. I mean, you know, it's so. How important is the music for you? Because what I like in your movies is also that you let the music breathe in a way, that you give time for the audience to get into the song.
Because sometimes it's more efficient to not talk and just have a song saying the intention of the scene. I mean, this is what I like the most, is to do that kind of a clip in the movie, you know, where there's no more dialogues and you understand things just with the music. I mean, this is how my brain functions. I always have a music in my head.
Disco.
Disco, usually disco, yeah.
Who loves disco music here? That's right, the real music, that's the real music. Don't look for anything else. Yeah. So now, before we start to take the Q&A, take some questions from the answer. What are your next projects? So
I don't know, I would love to rest.
To rest? But we don't want that. We want you to do more, to create more.
Yeah.
And I want you to do also something. Your next movie, the US premiere, will be in this festival.
Okay, I will.
Deal?
Yes, yeah.
Zach, you got this on camera, call the lawyers, call everything, we want it on paper right away.
Yeah.
No, we'll be, listen, this is your home, this is your festival.
Okay,
so
with
what
pleasure.
Are you willing to write for theater maybe? Because
I want to do new things. You know, this year I did something that I really loved, is a stand-up comedy. Huh? You know, I did 10 minutes on a stage. Yeah, I was sure, but it's in French. And I loved it. So maybe I will do a little bit more of that. And I would love to do theater. But mostly I would love to rest.
To rest.
Yes. I would love to rest until I feel bored.
We'll give you tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
That's it.
Okay.
You know, and I want to say, come to closing night, because Wednesday we will give an award, well-deserved award, to our dear Lisa Azuelos. I want to acknowledge a few people before we take the Q&A. Camille Biederman, who is the Executive Director of the Television Academy. Give it up. Thank you for being here. It's an honor having you also. I want to acknowledge, of course, you recognize him, Mr. Holt McCallany from The Mindhunter on Netflix. Thank you, Mr. Amir, who is with us also. Wonderful actor. Thank you for being with us so much. Thank you. Thank you. So, any questions, please? And yes. Oh, Mr. Amir? Okay, to Amir first.
You're right, yeah. I know I'm your friend, I could ask you after, but I think it's for the festival. Here's my question. Because with such a background of a Sephardic Jewish women and Sephardic culture and Passover and Yom Kippur, I'm really curious how the response was in France to the majority non-Jewish and also non-Jewish and also Jewish non-Sephardic, but specifically in the non-Jewish reaction, because it was such a big movie in France. It makes me happy to know that they were embracing Jews on a very basic level, but I'm just curious about that response.
Well, there was a time where it was possible. First of all, there was that movie that was a huge hit that's called La Vérité si je mens. I don't know if you had it here. How was it called? You played in it, you see. So it was about the Jewish community, and it was a huge hit. But it was with the boys, with male. And so, well, it's 12 years ago, and 12 years ago, things were different. When I was looking at the movie, I was thinking, I'm not so sure I could do that movie right now, unfortunately. I don't know. I mean, I could, but I'm not so sure it would be such a hit. I don't know. I mean, luckily I did it 12 years ago. So now it goes on TV like 3-4 times a year, every year. So it's down there and people get to see it. And I think it's very important to do that kind of movie so that, you know, everybody thinks, the Jews, they don't know what it is, blah, blah, blah. And suddenly I get into the intimacy of a Jewish community and family from a very intimate level. So that's the kind of movies that brings people together. And so I'm very glad I did it. I'm not sure I would have the balls to do it again. Do we see balls? No, it's maybe not.
It was really a big success. One question? Yes,
Yes.
sir, over there.
Oh, not at all. So I'm not French, I'm not Sephardic, my wife is, but I am Jewish. And my question turns on your choice of the holidays, Yom Kippur, Hanukkah, Pesach, why you chose those. And from my experience with Sephardic Jews, although in Israel, I was sort of surprised that on Yom Kippur there was so much non-traditional activity, a lot of stuff that you wouldn't think of as being associated with the seriousness of Yom Kippur. So why did you set it that way?
Well, at the beginning, the movie was supposed to be cut by the... Comment on parle les fêtes?
By the holidays.
By the holiday. I mean, I wanted to have a first Kippur, then we had, I think, Hanukkah, and then I had Pesach, because it's different moments in a life, and it's different moment in a year that bring a different energy. And like Pesach is coming from slavery to freedom, and that's what's happening to, you know, to the character. And when they're having the light for Hanukkah, it's the light of love that's coming in their heart. So for Kippur, it's just, you know, the forgiveness and that special moment where everything is settled and we see that everybody is like in their own guilt and whatever they have to face. And you know, the good thing about me is that I really know very well the Jewish community, but also I've been also raised by my mom who's not Jewish, so I can always be in and out at the same time, and that's how I can dare to talk about everything. I feel entitled to talk about things. Like also I'm a woman, so I can talk about women and saying bad things about them and good things about them, you know. It's being in and out. That's the way. And I love to talk about things with humor, because otherwise people don't hear.
I would have never thought, I just realized the holiday thing about the slavery, Passover, the light of it. I think it was genius. Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much. I really love the movie. I hope it gets shown here more. You should try the JCC in the Upper West Side. Maybe they would love to have that too. But my question is, being a New Yorker, not really knowing about French Jewish culture and French Sephardic culture, and also being a therapist, I was curious about whether divorce is a big issue in the Sephardic community. And also, does anyone go to couples therapy in Paris or in France?
Yeah.
You want to advertise your business? Tell us the truth. Give us business cards. We'll do it for you.
In my other movies, there are therapists a lot, because I thought I would meet them. And you know, that was my first movie I was doing just after my divorce. So of course, this is why it's so accurate in that movie. Well, I guess everybody's having divorce, even in the Jewish community. It's true that I feel that the Jewish community is encouraging better the couples to stay together than just, you know, everybody else. It's true that I have less friends in the Jewish community having divorce than in the other communities. That's true. But let's face it. I mean, divorce is in Paris is one couple, one of each. How do you say? 50%.
50%. One out of two.
What? So it's an issue, yeah.
But also, you know, her movie, I can say it because I'm not Lisa, you know, unfortunately, but her movie really also helped women to open their eyes in the situation that they were living with their husband, because some husbands are abusive, but in the Jewish community, it's a kind of a taboo not to talk about it. And there was going on, and it's even worse, the taboo. And her movie really helped in that sense, So I'm taking the liberty to add that. And the best therapy is to watch the movies of Lisa Azuelos. Next. Sorry, sir.
Okay. How old were you when it came to you that you would use film as a medium to express what you wanted to say? And was there anybody, a teacher or somebody, that inspired you to do that?
Well, I was 10 years old when I knew that I had to share my stories. Always. I was 10 years old and I said, okay, this is going to be my... But I thought I would be a writer. And then I realized that movies were a much deeper way to connect with a lot of people. And also I was thinking of being a therapist, but you know, you don't touch that many people. I mean, no offense, but you know, I wanted like 1 million people to see. You know, I was like, I'm not going to be patient enough to do one after one after one after one. I wanted a mass psychological thing. So that's why I'm doing movies. It's because I was not patient enough to be a therapist. I think.
One person that gave you the inspiration?
I think Woody Allen a lot, because he helped me a lot to understand what was going on, and as a and also I learned with Robert Mackie to write scripts. He was for me, he really helped me having all my ideas pointed to the target very clearly. And that's what a script needs.
Thank you. And this gentleman is very strong supporter of the American Sephardic Federation. Thank you for what you're doing. Next.
My question is about the social class that I witnessed in the movie. I saw that most of the people that helped the Jewish families were Arab. With Fatima and other people. So I was wondering how it was perceived in French.
Once again, it's 12 years ago.
So
yeah, there also are Philippine people.
Excuse me?
There also are Philippine people from the Philippines. But it's true, you know, that's why when I was little, I was always wondering, but, you know, that because my grandmother, she didn't talk French, she was talking in Arabic all the time. You know, and I was always wondering why, you know, there was a war somewhere when they were talking the same language, and they were like brother and sister. You know, it was very. There's a very deep connection when you come from Morocco. You want to be surrounded by Moroccan people, whether they're Jewish or not is not, you know, the main thing. Especially, it's the same kind of food. The same kind of perspectives, the same. It's so. But right now, if I were to do the movie again, I would not do like I would, except for the PACS.
The PACS is like a
when you
equal
get
marriage for people
because
of the same sex. So you have marriage, and you had like a mutual agreement, mutual contract, but it was not recognized as the marriage. It's called PACS, but we don't have that in the U.S.
Civil union, yes.
It exists?
Yes.
I'm going to do it tonight.
Yes. No, but I thought it was a nice idea, you know, to have those communities when it's the men and it's the war and it's in countries and everybody has his own issues, you know. But there it was two women and it was just, you know, they were so close because they're raising the children together in a way, you know, and I wanted them to be able to get into that civil union. It was shocking for all families, but, you know, I wanted to show that there was problems too, but in my way.
And also, I think you showed also the love that Jews have for Muslims. You see, at some point, you see the daughter.
And vice versa, yeah.
You see the daughter who is talking bad to the nanny, and Michelle Larocque, you know, the wonderful actress, she's like, hey, don't talk like this to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's also a beautiful example. Anybody else? Well, I think we can call it a night.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, David. I want to thank David, the organizer, and Lady Comme from Paris, and the organizer of the festival. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.